What if I told you there's a continent so big you could fit the entire United States inside it and still have room left over, but it has fewer people than Tokyo? Australia is one of the largest countries on earth, yet most of it is almost completely empty. Zoom into a population map and you'll notice something strange. Nearly everyone lives around the edges, while the center looks like a giant void. So what's going on here? Why is Australia so empty? To understand this, we need to go way beyond the simple answer, it's just desert, because the real reasons involve climate, geography, history, economics, and even human psychology. Let's start with the most famous part of Australia's emptiness, the outback. This isn't just one desert, it's a massive region covering most of the continent's interior. And it's not just dry, it's extreme. Temperatures can soar above 45 degrees Celsius. Rainfall is unpredictable and often non existent for months. And when it does rain, it can cause sudden floods. This kind of environment is incredibly hostile to large populations. Think about it. If you were choosing a place to build a city, would you pick a region where water is scarce, farming is unreliable, survival is difficult? Probably not. And that's exactly why most people never moved inland. But here's the deeper issue: water. Throughout human history, water has determined where civilizations rise and fall. Major population centers around the world exist near reliable water sources like rivers, lakes, or consistent rainfall. Australia doesn't really have those inland. Its rivers are relatively small, slow, and often seasonal. Some of them don't even reach the ocean year round. Compare that to places like North America or Europe, where massive river systems support agriculture, transportation, and cities. In Australia's interior, water isn't just scarce, it's unpredictable. And without water, you don't get farms. Without farms, you don't get cities. Without cities, you don't get people. Even if you somehow solved the water problem, there's another issue: the soil. Australia has some of the oldest land on earth. Over millions of years, rain has washed away many of the nutrients from the soil. What's left is often dry, sandy, and not very fertile. That means agriculture, one of the main reasons humans settle in large numbers, is extremely difficult in much of the interior. So now you've got very little water, poor soil, extreme temperatures. That's basically the worst possible combination for building large populations. And take a look at the opposite side, the coastline. This is where almost all Australians live, and for good reason. The coastal regions have more rainfall, better soil, milder temperatures, access to the ocean for trade and travel. Cities like Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth didn't just appear randomly. They formed in the only places where large-scale living actually makes sense. In fact, around 80 to 90% of Australians live within 50 kilometers of the coast. That's one of the most extreme population distributions in the world. Geography explains a lot, but history made it permanent. When the British first colonized Australia in 1700s, they arrived by ship. Naturally, they settled along the coast. These early settlements became the foundation for everything: roads, ports, cities, and infrastructure. And once those systems are in place, they tend to reinforce themselves. Businesses set up where people already are, people move where jobs exist, and jobs grow where infrastructure already exists. So even if inland Australia became more livable, the momentum is already on the coast. Now you might be wondering, if the interior is so empty, what is it actually used for? The answer: resources. Australia's outback is rich in minerals like iron ore, gold, and uranium. It's also used for massive cattle ranches, some of the largest in the world. But here's the key point: these industries don't need many people. Mining operations are often automated or run by small specialized teams. Ranches can cover thousands of square kilometers with just a handful of workers. So even though the land is economically valuable, it doesn't attract large populations. Another factor is just how far everything is. Australia isn't just empty, it's spread out. Traveling between inland towns can mean driving for hours or even days with nothing in between. That kind of isolation discourages settlement. Humans naturally cluster together. We like access to services, healthcare, schools, and entertainment. And the further you go into the interior, the harder it becomes to maintain those things. It's important to note that Australia wasn't always empty. Indigenous Australians have lived on this land for over 60,000 years. They developed deep knowledge of the environment and learned how to survive in conditions that seem impossible to outsiders. But their way of life didn't involve building massive cities or dense populations. It was based on mobility, sustainability, and living in balance with the land. So while the land supported people, it didn't support the kind of dense urban populations we see today. Australia isn't isn't empty by accident. It's empty because for most of human history, the interior has simply been one of the hardest places on earth to live. So instead of spreading out, Australians have clustered together in places that make life easier. And that's why one of the biggest countries on earth feels so empty. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe.